1,693 days since Richard was premeditatedly, um, systematically, systematically is a good word, killed in the line of duty on purpose. Um, that's been confirmed by the Department of Defense. So much is happening that I hope I can cover everything and I remember everything because, um, remember I told yesterday, a dead snake was crossed my path during my walk, and that symbolizes a huge change. And I posted that up, and then at midnight when I was doing the live stream, it was so clear by Trump's post that things have really, really changed. And, it's not that the work is finished, but, there has been a huge shift now. And that starts with these auto pen signatures and what that means in our son's case. So if you haven't heard what's going on, um, President Biden, when he was leaving, and I don't even know, there was so much fraud going on, right? There was so much fraud, and it was so obvious, and they've left so many victims in their wake. It wasn't surprising to me that even with all of that billions of dollars that was in the hands of Veronica Escobar for the Harris campaign, they still lost because they've left so many victims in their wake with all of their evil doings, they're up to no good, right? They're absolutely up to no good. And now we have these magic money machines that shows that, they're up to no good. You can't have money without being backed by anything, and it's, anyway, this fraud, waste, and theft by this group that, has infiltrated our government during this Biden administration. And at the end, because they were up to no good, and of course, with the January 6th, which I've been calling out um, ever since January 6th, because I took live streams there. Um, I talked to so many people there, um, and witnessed what was going on there. And I was have been saying from January 6th, 2021, that the narrative was not true. The narrative was very, very skewed since then, and they were targeting um, MAGA. Um, they were targeting conservatives. They were absolutely targeting, and that's why I say, Richard's murder was more than just something to keep him silenced, because they had other means that they could have, when you're a young soldier, all they had to do was reassign him. Um, but they didn't do that, right? He wanted to be a reassigned. He requested reassignment. He requested to be even deployed to a war zone, to get out of the situation that was there at the death camp on Fort Bliss, to get out of the cartel infiltrated tide Fort Bliss, to get out of the fraud, waste, and theft that was going on with the criminal trafficking and gun smuggling and everything. That was Fort Bliss, to get out of the child trafficking of these taken children that they, uh, put a label on saying unaccompanied children, but hundreds of thousands of them, right? Hundreds of thousands of them, that it's like, oh yeah, but that's okay if you put unaccompanied instead of taken, because taken, of course, if you watch that movie Taken, you're like, oh my gosh, or um, The Sound of Freedom, right? The Sound of Freedom really speaks volumes to what was going on there. And now we have um, a, a person, Tucker Carlson, that has millions of followers, um, that has the ear of President Trump, that is interviewing Clayton Morris, talking about the children that absolutely were trafficked, that were brought into the country. And of course, through the Fort Bliss open door, it's the front door of the United States, right? Brought through El Paso to Fort Bliss, to the death camp, that they were drugged, these children were drugged, and the worst of the worst happened to them, and that most of them are now deceased. And it's just heartbreaking to listen to all of that, and calling out Greg Abbott for that, Governor Abbott, for allowing all of that to happen. Um, absolutely, a governor has so much power. A governor has so much power and can do so much, and he didn't. He didn't. And matter of fact, his administration is up to no good. And that confirmed that for us. And I talked about that yesterday, that confirmed, because of, our pleadings with him. And, and then what his Secretary of State did. That was so heartbreaking, with the tampering of timestamps and official oppression, really official oppression. I mean, really, really, a betrayal, betrayal. It's just incredible. So, um, here we are wearing a MAGA hat, absolutely dedicated to making America great again, right? And the only way America can be great again is that timestamps are honored as the foundation of justice. You can't have a justice system without timestamps. And if those timestamps aren't respected, if they're tampered with, then you have no justice, and then people have no rights, right? Then you'll just have tyranny. You'll have people having their magic money machines, right? And taking advantage and doing the criminal trafficking, the smuggling, the fraud, waste, and theft of everyone. It'll be like the survival only of the fittest, not caring about the country in itself, all the people, right? And this is, you know, absolutely what we have discovered is the tampering of the documents. And for the most part, it is with the timestamps, but also then with the signatures. So what has happened in the Biden last days are these, well, not in the last days, during his administration, everyone knew that the emperor had no clothes, that there was something wrong upstairs, right? We all knew, but the cover up was very obvious. And they no one wanted to say that the emperor had no clothes, that something was wrong upstairs, because they had their magic money machines. They had their AUSAID, or USAID. They had their magic money machines that Doge is reporting on right now, and they did not want their gravy train to end. And so if they have to say that the emperor has no clothes, that I mean, that the emperor has these fine clothes on when he's naked, when there's something wrong upstairs, and they have to say, "Oh no, he's very fit, he's very able," but yet we will get someone, and that someone is. I would like to know who that someone is that did these auto pen signatures for him. The problem with the auto pen signatures is not the auto pen signature. It's was something upstairs, right? Um, was there an understanding? Was there an explanation? Was he aware? And what we are receiving in our intel is that no, there was not anything upstairs, and there was not knowledge of what was being signed with the auto pen, and therefore these pardons at the end, and I'm thinking many other things, but the pardons at the end, and that includes Mealy. That's very important to us, right? And what's that guy that pretends to care about people's health, and created the biggest disaster with and I have my very, very strong opinions on all of that, and sometimes people are like, "What do you mean?" No, there was no isolation. There was no isolation, But anyway, it's my strong opinion, and I'm allowed to have a strong opinion. Oh, yeah, that Fauci guy. Yeah, the Fauci. But Mealy, so his preemptive pardon, his preemptive, I hate that preemptive pardon. There's no preemptive pardon for Veronica Escobar. I put that song together. There's no preemptive pardon for you, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, Miss Vanity Fair, Veronica Escobar. And that's all coming out too. It's just incredible. But these signatures, there was nothing upstairs, right? There was nothing upstairs when it came to these preemptive pardons. And so President Trump then said, look, uh, you know, and he's got way more intel than I do. And he goes, they're void. They're void. Okay. They're void. They're not legal. They're not legal. And I'm just like, thank you. Thank you so much, because we've been calling out usurper Bill Hicks for a long time. For 2 years, we were calling him out, usurper Bill Hicks, you know, because he was not properly installed and he tampered along with hope. He tampered with his paperwork, his official documents, and tried to fix his installation as the district attorney for the 34th Judicial District, and it didn't work. He couldn't fix it. He made it worse. He committed even more crimes, and we've been calling that out. He became a usurper, and they all allowed him, just like Biden in there. They allowed him to stay there. Why? Because he's up to no good, and he's covering up those that are up to no good. So they're really protecting the criminals. And we're paying that with our taxpayers' money. We're paying them to protect criminals, right? And they are themselves criminals. And and what they're doing is they're taking our prosecuting office. They're taking what is ours and usurping it, right? Taking it over so that we can't use it. And we need it. We need it in order to prosecute the suspects in our son's case. And so it is very, very frustrating. And it is continuing to be usurped or taken over. And, invaded, right? It's invaded. It's the invasion of our government agencies and institutions, and making them null and void, making them illegal. And they've done that with the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court. That is totally illegal without any authority. And there's a real problem there, and I'll explain that to you hopefully tomorrow. Um, and please remind me what I've said in the past that I said that I would explain to you as soon as I got more information, because things are moving so fast that um, we're working very hard behind the scenes to keep up with the pace. It is absolutely enormous what is happening. So many parts to this, because the corruption, because the infiltration, because the bad actors had really done a number on our country. And but there's a new sheriff in town, and he's addressing it, and it's just like it's just amazing to see him address so many different issues so quickly. And this issue with the auto pen, um, not the pen itself, but what's upstairs. What's upstairs? Was there something upstairs for Biden? And our word is that no. And so it makes those auto pen signatures null and void, which makes General Mealy's preemptive pardon null and void. Um, and you can pick who you're who, you know, we're looking at General Mealy because he was absolutely um, implicated in our son's case for this whole cover up, right? For the disaster that he did to our military. So that's really important. The other thing that this has, the other point that this makes, is that there is tampering, that there is, a statement of officers that weren't turned in a timely fashion according to the law, the Texas Constitution, and therefore they are null and void. If you don't do things the right way, they are null and void. And so that is a huge point that is being made. James Montoya is not the DA. Bill Hicks was not the DA, because they did not install properly. They did not do things according to the Texas Constitution, what the law requires. And they're not above the law. They're not above the law. They can't just do what they want to do, especially as a prosecutor. So, and more and more is coming out with that. So because of all of this, and because of what happened with President Trump, what we're hearing is the confidence coming back in trust and in the system, and that is making its way to Yvonne Rosales. And Yvonne Rosales, who has really, I mean, they just did a number on her. I'm telling you, I know from all of our investigations, a number they did on her. And they did. And I'm not saying she's perfect, and she was absolutely not perfect DA, but she was a legitimate DA, right? She was a duly elected legitimate DA. That's far better than a usurper, right? That's far better than a usurper. And because she was actually looking into the El Paso Community Foundation Walmart mass shooting victims fund that was over $12 million in its distribution, and all of the fraud that was going on with it, and looking into that, had absolute reason to look into that. That is Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia and her daughter, Taos, which is also a Valdez. Um, Claudia Valdez, she goes by Elise Taos, anyway. So and looking into that kind of fraud and if it's there and all of that, and then looking into Richard's case and looking into the Walmart case and wanting to even just expressing to bring that to hearings and to set a trial date, just expressing that she wanted to set a trial date. Oh my gosh, they just lost it. They absolutely lost it. And we know why they lost it because you have Michael Mayella in the federal courthouse. You have his son with the DA Jaime Esparza and with James Montoya and with Rebecca Tarango and Priscilla Mata, and you have and then you have him in the Walmart, and he's the hacker, right? He's the hacker, the son, and you have the daughter marrying Patrick Crucius's brother, and you have the son working in Walmart security and over at the FBI. Um, that's just one little thing that the Walmart mass shooting absolutely exposed. And you have Alexander Hoffman being tied to Casitas Hoffman that is dealing with, making money on processing these migrants. It's just uh, tied to foundations, right? Tied to um, what do you call them? Non-government organizations, NGOs, right? NGOs. Oh my gosh, it's just so um it's also criminal. It's also criminal. And so of course, they're freaking out um because they have a lot to hide, right? And they don't want to stop that gravy train, the millions of dollars of just, masquerading of, oh yes, I'm Joe Spencer, and oh yes, we're looking into the evidence, and no, we have enough evidence. Mom, no, we're looking into the evidence. Oh no, we're not ready yet. We need more time. It's just delay, delay, delay while sucking in the millions of dollars for personal gain. Um, and committing a huge fraud on the public. Very clear that that was going on. And so for Yvonne Rosales just to mention, hey, let's have a trial, right? Um, she was absolutely, we have the open records. They schemed together to uh, remove and replace Yvonne Rosales. And when that was all happening in 2022, it occurred big time. A lot of, I mean, really, it was just the plotting against her was incredible. They weaponized the system against her. It was so dirty. It was absolutely dirty. And this was our taxpayers' money being weaponized, being used and abused fraudulently to um, attack, remove, and replace a duly elected district attorney. Whether you like her or not, whether she was good or not, whatever. Um, she was duly elected. She was in that, and she was absolutely doing way more than these criminals were doing, right? And so um, they uh, in in December, I believe it was December 2022, there was supposedly this resignation letter. Well, the resignation letter, you know, I was tipped off. We were tipped off that that was not her signature, and we know who the suspect is, who signed that. I'm not going to say it now. It really, I don't know, would matter anymore. But, uh, you know, um, it doesn't look like it was her signature. And this was something that was kind of used against her. Well, you resigned, right? But when you compare the signatures, it doesn't look like her signature. And so I think there is something to it about the tip that we got. And, the point that we want to make is that the Texas Constitution, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she resigned. It doesn't matter. What matters is who is the last legal, correctly installed district attorney. And that is Yvonne Rosales, because it's not James Montoya. And I know there's all this other legal stuff that, would come into play with all of this, but for the sake of being the district attorney and the holdover provision in the Texas Constitution, it's clear that it's not James Montoya. He has that 2028 stamp. Remember, I mean, he's not properly installed. His paperwork is a mess. I didn't think you can get worse than Bill Hicks, but he just proved me wrong. I mean, he is so much worse, and not by a little, by a lot. By a lot. Who puts a 2028 stamp? That's 4 years away from his March when they put the stamp on it, right? I mean, it's crazy. And that's just one failure of that paperwork. He's just so much worse than Bill Hicks. And I didn't think you can get worse than Bill Hicks, because Bill Hicks is so bad and his whole background is so bad. He is not fit to be, neither one of them are fit to be district attorney, because that means you're the prosecutor for El Paso, a borderland town, a beautiful city. And you want to keep it that way. And it's so unique because it is on the border, and it is a Siamese sister city with Juarez, Mexico. It's an international city. And so, you have to have the best of the best of the best to be the district attorney. And neither one of them they're just the bottom of the barrel. They're the bottom of the barrel. And I would say criminal on top of that. Absolutely criminal, both of them. And so, so it doesn't matter if the last district attorney that was legally installed resigned or not. It doesn't matter. The Texas Constitution says you can't have that position open like it is right now. It's really open right now. There's, because they absolutely have felt it, and you can probably talk to Rebecca Tarango on that one. And, they've absolutely felt the void and the criminality that is in that office. And so the true right now, the holdover until another person is elected into that position or appointed into that position. Until then, it is Yvonne Rosales. And Yvonne Rosales, why am I talking about this? Because it looks like she's getting some, um, she's getting some feedback. She's getting some support. She's getting some support, and it seems that she's starting to put on her heels, right? Put on her suit, put on her heels, and she just may assert her rightful position as the holdover DA. And if she signed in duress, or if that is a forged signature on her resignation, then that means that everything with Bill Hicks and James Montoya is void. Okay, that she's always been the um, the duly elected, true legal district attorney. And so, if I was her, I couldn't get my heels on fast enough. I'd be, you know, yeah, I'd be running to that office, maybe, with a big team of lawyers around me. Um, uh, and I'd make some phone calls to President Trump. I would make some phone calls to President Trump, absolutely 100%, and say, I'm doing this job, and he absolutely um, would admire that. Absolutely would admire that. So I hope she does put on her heels and assert her rightful position. Um, whether you like her or not, um, that's her position. And just that office needs to have a district attorney, right? So it's not about liking or whatever, it is about following the law. And that would make her a legitimate DA and then answerable to the people, for the people, by the people, of the 34th Judicial District. That is right now, those that are in there are criminal and they answer to who? Because they're not legal. So they are very easily manipulated because they need the cover. They need the cover up. So it's compromised. We need someone in there that's legal so they can actually do some legal prosecuting, um, investigating, identifying the crimes, prosecuting the crimes. We need that. And that's why that is so important. And so, my prayer on happy, well, it's already over with, right? We're burning the midnight oil, but it was a great St. Patrick's Day today. Um, Absolutely, it's our prayer that she asserts her rightful place, not only for her, not only for our son's case, but for the 34th Judicial District. Um, they need a prosecutor. They need one office that is legally sound. Right now, you've got the county attorney messed up. You've got the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court that's totally unauthorized and illegal. And what do I mean by that? Because you have appointed judges in there, and that's illegal. They have to be elected because that court has full countywide jurisdiction. And according to the Texas Constitution, those courts with that kind of power, full countywide jurisdiction, the judges have to be elected, answering to the people. So, and that's not the case. So that is a really messed up court. And of course, you have Judge Guadarrama, who this is another thing that's happening. I'm telling you, things are moving so fast. This judge that tried to become president over the weekend on a Saturday night to stop the Venezuelan gang members from going to El Salvador. This is a huge challenge. He's a federal judge, and they're trying to impeach him for what he did. And that means that we can also assert, um, with similar grounds to that, um, not totally similar, but in that same spirit, the impeachment that needs to occur um, with Judge David Campos Guadarrama from the Walmart mass shooting case. He absolutely needs an impeachment hearing um, because that is just absolutely insane what happened there with his manager, Michael Maiella, and Michael Maiella's son, and Michael Maiella's daughter, and the quid pro quo with the media to keep it all quiet, that his daughter was marrying Petra Crucius's brother, that his son was um, in the DA's office with Jaime Esparza, who needed to recuse himself anyway because his sister was in the case. I mean, the whole Walmart mass shooting case is just so messed up, y'all. And I report on it at length over and over again and put up the proof. But yes, Judge Guadarrama absolutely needs an impeachment hearing, and um, and it explains a lot too. So, and then of course, you know, uh, look at the other agencies and everything. We need a prosecutor. We need a prosecutor um, to give us some justice there in El Paso. Absolutely. One by one, right? One by one, to clean it up and to make it functioning again for the people. And and I don't know what they're going to do to keep it from being sabotaged again. But right now, the judicial system and the law enforcement system in El Paso is sabotaged, and we've the issues that are going on right now with the auto pen, what that means, and then also with the judge, what that means is very important to our son's case. So thank you, Danielle, for coming on. Thank you for your prayers. And um, what else did I wanted to talk about? Yvonne Rosales. There's just so much um, going on in this case when it comes to Montoya, when it comes to Rosa Maria Valdez Garcia, when it comes to Leilani Hart and her connections, when it comes to the connections in the um, DA's office, right? Those connections. It all starts making sense why this was such a cover up, and who was involved in the cover up, and people that pretended to be friends at the beginning were just fishing for information for us and trying to mislead us. That's all coming out. And, so it's all being put together in a nice case, in a nice case, and it's to get justice for our son Richard, to get his remains, and y'all just keep filing yourself because we can't force them to do the right thing unless we file, unless we absolutely identify the crimes, document the crimes, and file the crimes. And that's why protecting whistleblowers is so, so important. And protecting timestamps is so, so important. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. We love you. And please share. Please share. You can't share enough. This is a government by the people, for the people, and of the people. And the people are the ones that have really all the power in this country. Praise be to God. And you see that around the world. It's this country that the people have the power. So thank you so much. God bless you.